Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic: The Gathering. Here we have Legacy from one of the longest-standing tournament series in New England, which will be coming to a close in just a few short weeks. That's right, Scholars is actually closing their doors for good in October. So if you have been a fan of the channel or have heard about Scholars over the years and not made it down, now is the time. The doors are open, and we are having all of our regular series continue right up until the closing bell. Here we've got Storm versus what I had guessed was Sneak and Show. Incorrectly, it's actually some type of Delver build. Could be blue-red Delver, could be Grixis. I guess we'll see shortly. Force of Will being revealed off of Delver, and he is going to start swinging. So this is where they want to be. Force of Will in hand, Delver on board. And they hold down the clock for the next 5 or 6 turns to have that Delver close things out. 2 mana being tapped. LED Infernal Tutor for another LED. So Infernal Tutor revealing LED to allow a double LED hand. That is going to generate a lot of mana. Going to push Daze out of the equation. Wasteland coming down for this Delver variant. Still not sure what type. Could be blue-red. We'll see depending on what other cards we have impact this game. That Wasteland not likely to be a card to be particularly impactful here. Plenty of basics, 2 islands and a swamp in this list. So can play around those Wasteland effects. And here we go, Lion's Eye Diamond being played, and the Storm tracking has begun. Second LED Storm 2. Could be Rug Delver, could be Stifle to worry about. Really don't know. That's the thing about Delver. It does not give that much information when you play it. Rug Delver is kind of the, perhaps, a default assumption. But there are so many ways to build off of that core shell. Brainstorm, Force of Will, Delver, bunch of cantrips. A lot of ways you can support that. 4 mana, empty the Warrens. So just going to jam and empty the Warrens. And a Stifle comes in, stopping 2 of them. So that's not a massive waste of resources. Essentially traded a little bit of a storm count. Still not great. Only 2 turns to go here. There's the Preordain. And keeping a Preordain on top. Gonna Preordain again. And perhaps Cabal Ritual kept. Thoughtseize in hand. 2 islands and a basic swamp. Not interested in that Wasteland at this time. A lot of potential mana here. Thoughtseize going down to just 4. Storm of 3. 2 Preordains and a Thoughtseize. Chris firing a Force of Will off at that. Pitching True Name Nemesis. So not going to lose the life. Pretty happy about that. Not losing the life could be very relevant here. I would be at 1 life if I crack a fetch land. Alright, so down to 14. Gonna have to make something happen here because Delver's got it on the crackback. Cabal Ritual, plenty of threshold. That's 5 black mana, a Storm of 2. That Badlands coming down. And Past in Flames. And I believe there was an Infernal Tutor in there earlier that grabbed an LED, so this could very well just be it. I believe it is. Infernal. Grabbing Tendrils. Oh, and Forked Bolt in hand. Fork Bolt would have done it. So significant choices were made here. Force of Willing that Thoughtseize preserved 2 points of my life total. That Forked Bolt would have actually cleared things up. I'm assuming that's what came off of the top of the deck. So if Thoughtseize had taken the Force of Will, then I would have been at just 1 life, and Chris could have finished the game off with that Forked Bolt. Whew. Instead, just surviving into game 2. Fork Bolt absolutely had my name on it and somehow dodged that bullet. Going into game 2 here, bringing in some Chrome Moxes. Chrome Mox so good with Ad Nauseam. Does help add Storm for early Empty the Warrens, though I'm not sure that's actually a great line versus Rug. They do potentially just have a ton of Stifle effects. Stifle, a very contentious card. A lot of people feel like it's a fantastic 4 of in the mana denial strategy, giving you game versus some of the best decks in the format. Being able to stifle things like a lethal Storm trigger, even stifling Emrakul's Annihilator trigger. That can be very punishing, allowing you to win on the crackback, as long as you actually still have those permanents that you've worked so hard to accumulate. He does a lot of work in the Sneak and Show matchup in a hurry. Of course, Emrakul has protection from colored spells, but its Annihilator trigger does not. Just like you're able to stifle a Goblin Piledriver's attack bonus trigger. Although that one doesn't come up very much anymore. Piledriver fallen out of favor in recent years due to a lot of other Goblin printings. Chris taking some time, really thinking about his sideboard. Very thoughtful player. Learning a lot about Legacy every time he's playing. We often have discussions after the matches about different potential lines. And he's really enjoyed the process of trying to sharpen his skills over the years. Takes his lumps well. Tries to always learn something from every match, whether it's a victory or a defeat. Here we go into game 2. Chris going to be on the play. I believe we might be discussing that Forked Bolt situation and just how winnable that game was for Chris. Basic Island to lead out with a cantrip. Some Thoughtseizes. Gonna have to run it. Noble Hierarch. Now I'm not entirely sure what we're looking at. I guess that's Rug with Hierarch in it. I suppose that can push through extra damage off of those Delvers. Doesn't seem like the sweetest tech in the world. Well, I guess 2 of them is actually pretty sweet tech. 5 damage Delver is going to be pretty fine. At least that can get past opposing Delvers. I was going to say just the single Exalted trigger doesn't really do much in terms of trading with your opponent's Delvers. It becomes a 4/3. It still dies to their Delver. But yeah, if you draw 2 of them, sure. We've turned a Delver into a quasi Tombstalker, which is a Mirror Breaker in the different Delver matchups. The black decks, the black variants of Delver that have been able to play Tombstalker have done well with that over the years. We see Dark Petition, Past in Flames. Neither of those we're really ready for, so that's going to get shuffled back in. And looking at most a 4-turn clock here. Delver flipping, showing Lightning Bolt. Down to 15. 3 or 4 turns. 2 or 3 turns here, depending on if a fetch land is needed. Or if there's additional burn. Though he doesn't have red mana yet. So that is very relevant. Those nobles, they are not Deathrite Shamans. Let's be very clear about that. They do not give you anything that you didn't already have. Green and blue in order to cast it. I suppose it does give you white, but I don't even know if this deck runs white cards. And there's a Thoughtseize. Force, Fluster, Surgical, Red Elemental Blast. Chrome Mox in hand. Got some possibilities here, thinking them over. Surgical, kind of a problem card. Storm, one of those decks. Must be very, very thorough with thinking through your lines. A little fuzzy logic here and there will be the difference in between victory and defeat. It's very easy to miss a point of mana, miss a color of mana. A lot of ways it can go wrong. Chrome Mox is going to come down. We've got a storm of 3. Printing Thoughtseize. And a Ball Ritual. And he's going to let it resolve. Surgical would have been nice. Surgical actually would have added to Storm and cost him 2 life. So that would have been lethal if he Surgicaled. Probably should have tried to bait the Surgical and played a lot slower. You know, play Cabal Ritual and be like, with 7 cards in graveyard. Try and get him to break up the play. Instead, gonna go to 3 black. Infernal, crack Lion's Eye Diamond, and because that Surgical's there, not going to be able to get past In Flames, and because he hasn't used the Surgical, not going to be able to kill him with Tendrils here. So it would be a Storm count a bit higher. That's 6 black floating. So if he had used the Surgical, he would be at 17. The Storm would be 7. Would be able to get another Infernal to go to 8. And then Tendrils for 18 points of damage, and he would be at 17. Instead, gonna have to go for it with Ad Nauseam and only 11 life. So this is it. It's all in here. 1 black mana. Gonna need a Lion's Eye Diamond to go along with this. Chrome Mox. Ponder. So Chrome Mox is useful. Dark Ritual. 3 life left. A double Dark Ritual into Infernal. But the reality is he has the Surgical on the other side, so he's going to be able to Surgical away these Infernal Tutors. Oh, another Chrome Mox. And Cabal Ritual, and I guess it's going to have to stop there at 1 life. So Chrome Mox. And actually, if he Surgicals on the Ponder, that would have done it. Surgical on Ponder would have actually ended everything here, would not be able to get blue mana, and that would have just resulted in a passed turn. So definitely a tactical error there. Taking out the Infernal Tutors definitely feels like the right play. But it is in fact not correct. Infernal wasn't really going to be able to end the game anyways, unless it found Lion's Eye Diamond. Here we go, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Storm 11, and have the natural tendrils off the Brainstorm. So that is going to do it. So Chris having opportunity in both games, definitely learning some lessons the hard way about one of the toughest decks in the format to play against, which is Storm Combo here. That's all for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please help grow the channel by subscribing. You'll be notified when we upload new videos like Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic with commentary, or Untapped, our raw tournament gameplay. Thanks for watching.